I don't need to do anything. I can watch Netflix from dusk till dawn, or the other way around. And I don't need to, I'm just being paid by.
Wait.
Basically the 80-20 principle.
Our guest for this episode, Stomzy Mwenda, perfectly fits the description of an intelligent investor.
9.5 times out of 10. If someone is telling you they're making money, they're lying.
9 out of 10.
Not
90%.
Yeah.
If someone tells you they're making money from trading,
Consistently,
they're lying.
they're lying.
I believe this episode carries the answer as to why very many people fail in forex trading.
How do you beat the temptation of you are a millionaire online, but you don't have money, and you're not liquid because you're playing the long game?
You can't be a football referee going to coach a cricket game.
Yes.
You don't know the rules.
Stormzy is an experienced stock market investor with close to a decade experience investing in the American stock market.
But if you just put money into an index fund, it doesn't even matter if it's a full S&P 500, it could be any other index fund or an ETF, which is an exchange traded fund. And you just sit, it'll work for you. Your money will work for you.
It will also be very clear from this episode that there are certain money principles that if you don't understand, however hard you work, hakuna kitu utamake.
On principle, there's certain levels of money always reach and evolve if you're not married.
If you are a consumer of knowledge like myself, you definitely enjoy this one.
On average, since 1941, when it was created, and this was after the stock market crash of 19.
Yes.
So from 1941 to date, on average, they've returned an average of 10%.
Actually, you can go back even further because now we're talking about the whole United States stock market. And that is how wealth is made and created.
Our conversation is happening at Wojo Africa, a premium co-working space in Upper Hill, Nairobi. You're looking for an office for your business. You're looking for a place you can hold your meetings bila hassle ya ku set up a space nini, an office on need basis. You need premium meeting areas, chill base where you can do your work, productivity maximum, bottomless coffee, like anything associated with an office. You need to check out Wojo, especially when you are looking for very competitive rates, classy packages, and very flexible arrangements. In fact, you have a meeting, you want to walk in, they have a package for you. Consider yourself plugged.
I'm your host, Dr. Kingori, and here's another reason to stay subscribed to our channel. Kama hauja subscribe, now's a good time to hit subscribe and turn on the notifications bell. Alafu please, changamka, you can like and share our content so the good vibes can reach as many people as possible. So I'll start with something, I don't know, where ideas I play in my head, and then you tell me whether they make sense.
Okay.
Real estate has been touted as one of the best investments in the country. So I've been playing around a concept, weighing the options. The amount of money you need to put up a single unit home in the US, to buy, is almost the same amount of money you need to buy an apartment in Kenya, right? On average, say the plotting, the flat, 5 floors, in terms of prices comparatively, it's the same amount of money you need for a single unit apartment, a single unit home in the US. But in the US, the rental income per could be slightly higher, than what you would get in a flat if you choose to rent it out, right? If you are to weigh options in terms of investment, would you rather build a flat in Kenya or a single family home?
Okay, so for me, I think the most important thing is to know which location it is. So for sure, you can't compare a family home in maybe somewhere like Delaware. Yeah, there's a family home in New York. There's a huge difference. So you might find that with the apartment or the single family home or a family home in New York will buy you several apartments in Nairobi.
Yes.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you look at it from the view of growth, an apartment in Nairobi will make more sense because it's huge demand. Africa is a young population. We're continuing to grow, so the demand will always rise, and the prices will always come up.
Yes.
So that law of supply and demand utapata Nairobi as or rather Africa in general, as a place to invest real estate makes a bit more sense. Not discounting the fact that US still people build houses because that population also growing, but not as fast as the African population.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. The reason why I ask that is I've been playing around the concept, putting your money outside the country. We had a conversation on this platform, and someone told us that the Nairobi stock market is dead. Like it's not what it was. Kitambo, it's a paying shadow. It's for myself, right? And when I spoke to you, Kanembia, there actually are strategies where you can invest your money outside the country. So that's the part of real estate, apart from stock market.
Yeah.
How do you invest for stock market?
There are very many platforms that offer that service, and I'll kind of run back a bit to that statement that you said that the Nairobi Securities Exchange stock market is almost dead. I want to say that's probably slightly true, because if you look at the share price of the NSE right now, I think it's like $5 billion. You know, that's that cheap. That's like basically a penny stock, United States. So it's deteriorated over time because there's not a lot of value being pumped in. And then if you compare with a market like the States, you know, that stock market has been there for close to a century and a half now.
But in the very predictable cycle.
Yes,
And crashes.
exactly. And there's a gentleman known as Ray Dalio. He's a founder of BlackRock, and he has a very good concept on explaining business cycles in the overall grand scheme of things of the economy. So he teaches just how you can anticipate these cycles. And the good thing is, it always comes to human emotions, fear and greed. That's what drives the stock market.
Fear and greed.
Only, yes.
Break it down for us. Like, is it so predictable that so you predict people's fear and greed and then respond according to how they're likely to respond? If I can summarize.
Yeah, for sure. And that's for the folks that you mentioned kidogo earlier when you said hedge funds. Those are people who look at the long-term view and look at factors like macroeconomics, stuff like that. So when I talk about fear and greed, you'll find that right now as we speak, we're in one of the longest bull markets in a minute. A bull market
It's not mentioned. There's no money. Business is low. No.
No, bull market is when people are buying, and they're buying happily. People are freely getting rid of money in their pockets to put it in the stock market. So there's the bull and the bear. So the action of the bull, ikikam kukucharge, sina coming in, kucharge. So that's the way the market goes up. And when a bear, so it's bull and bears. So the bear will beat down on you. So that's now a market sell-off. So it's a bull market right now as we speak. And that's why we have companies like NVIDIA reaching $1 trillion valuations. I think they're like at 3-point-something trillion.
Yes.
Huge amounts of money being pumped into that company because there's a lot of investor confidence, and that pushes the price high, and people continue buying when the price is high. And unapata kuna a lot of demand for a company's stock like NVIDIA. So with that being said, the fact that if you compare now the NSE versus the United States stock market, there's a huge disparity because it's an amalgamation of several companies, mega cap, 3 trillion plus. There's large cap stocks, there's mid cap, micro, so it's everything.
Yeah.
And in total, all this comes to around about $50 trillion as of January this year.
And so when you say it, when you break it down, it feels like there are two different worlds or more when it comes to the concept of markets. One, kuna hiyo stock market where you're saying people are buying, like people actually are spending. When you come to market in terms of business, people are talking about there's no money. People are not buying cars. People are not investing. Like the market is slow. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so the thing about the United States market is that there's a lot of information. Sometimes it's just over information. People can just consume so much in such a short period of time. So you'll find like a company like General Motors. They'll say, hey, you know what? Our sales are good this quarter. Then next quarter, they're not so good. And it's in a particular or rather a particular category. Maybe it's electronic vehicles, EVs. They're like, hey, hapo hivyo kuna shida. and then the market will react. They'll be like, hey, these guys are selling less EVs, so that means that they're not as innovating. They're not innovating. They're not pushing sales out there. So unapata, this is just that sentiment. As I mentioned, fear and greed. Someone will be afraid. They'll be like, hey, okay, this one, they're not doing very well. Others will be like, nah, these people are doing well. Let me continue putting my money there. So it's always like this fight, internal fight between the bulls and the bears, the buyers and the sellers. And that's how the market moves.
So is it like a crowd effect that people are bound to react the same way at a given time based on the information they get? Let's say, for example, let's use the example you gave. At General Motors don't sell enough cars, like let's say in the next quarter, right? People will react the way you predict them to react. And this is based on information. So does this mean the success of a market, like to maintain a certain status, is purely pegged on the information that is released to the public?
I'll say yes and no to that, because the concept of us as retail investors, or your mom and pop shops, people who just put their own money, they'll react in a certain way. But if you look at the smart money, the Wall Street now, what we call Wall Street, and the hedge funds and all those big companies with deep pockets, they'll react in a different way, because they look at the long-term view. They look at growth. And I can assure you, these people have phone numbers for the CEO of General Motors, and they'll probably pick up the phone and just get some information from them.
What do you mean? CRT, like you go online and check, you go as far as connection.
Yes.
Reaching to people directly.
Exactly.
That's not insider information.
It is. And the good thing, it's always listed. So if you go on a platform, say for example, the one that I use, you can get insider information on sales and purchases, because it's required by law in the United States.
You don't just invest at I know Coca-Cola makes money, so I'm going to put my money there.
You can, 100% you can. But now when you're putting in a lot of money, you have to report. If right now, King says, you say, I'm going to put $10 million in Coke, you have to report.
You have to report?
Yes, you have to tell SEC, I'm buying $10 million worth of this.
Who am I telling, Coca-Cola or Kenyan authorities?
No, you're telling American authorities. Because
as a Kenyan, like, let's say, because we want to go into the concept of, in Kenya, let's say, for example, the market is unstable and you want to invest outside the country. So as a Kenyan, I have to report to them.
I'm not quite sure if you are supposed to report that transaction as someone who's buying offshore. But I think for majority of investors, super huge transactions, you have to let the SEC know, because that's a market mover. When someone puts in 10 million or 20 million, probably even $100 million worth of stock, it's bound to make the price of the thing go high. And someone asks questions, because they'll see the orders. They'll be like, who put 100 million? Was it King? Who is King?
But now we are talking, do we have people who make such moves? Like, that's over $1 billion shillings.
Yes.
$10 million dollars, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have people who are, in your experience with money, do you have people who are that liquid? Like, other than the people who talk of billionaires, they are billionaires in assets. We have people who are billionaires in cash.
Yes. It might not be their money, but they have the cash to actually make such a transaction.
People have that money.
Yes.
And those are the people who make money with the vehicles such as stocks. In Guinea, you said it's damn money. Please break down that for us.
Wadau, a quick word before tuendelee na show. You're looking for a piece of land karibu na Nairobi, specifically Kikuyu, with a reputable land company, 50 by 100, na budget yako between 750,000 and 2.2 million. You need to check out offers za Petmol Shelters Limited. The Zuri Phase 2 yenye nilikuwa nawaambia has been sold out. Sai tuko na Wiri Phase 9 and the Investors Day is on the 12th of October 2024. Mark your date. 12th October 2024 from 11 a.m. Petmol Shelters Investors Day. Come interact with me and your future neighbors from 11 a.m. vile nimesema, buzi nyama choma kwa wingi. Kwanza the offer on that day, unapata plot na 650k. Booking ni 100k. And remember, Petmol wanapea a flexible payment plan ya up to 12 months. Book your spot at the Petmol Investors Day through hii number tumekuwekea hapa kwa screen.
It might not be their money, but they have the cash to actually make such a transaction.
People have that money.
Yes.
And those are the people who make money with the vehicles such as stocks. In Guinea, you said it's dumb money. Please break down that for us.
Yeah, dumb money. Okay, so it's unfortunate, but that's the term Wall Street calls retail investors. People who put in their own money, put in $100, $200, and then you say, I'm going to trade this actively. I'm going to buy Tesla today, and then tomorrow I'll sell because I feel like there'll be a price difference. It's going to rise. And to them, that's dumb money because on what basis are you buying and selling?
If you buy a Tesla stock for $100 today,
yep.
Tomorrow it goes to $150. Assuming I don't know, come on, they go up that high, $150. You sell. If you do this every day for 1 month, right? Isn't this your gateway? Isn't this your gateway to make big money? Because it means over time, from your $100, it meant $50 every day. So at the end of the month, you probably have $1,500, right? Just from day trading. Is that a practical way? Is it possible? Like if you could study the market, say, I'm investing $100, even around 12K, 13K every day. And then you get 50% profit every day. Different companies you study. At the end of the month, you are like someone who's been working and you earned $1,500. Is that an accurate way to look at it?
It is accurate for sure, but the probability. What is the probability of that happening? It's 1 in several millions. Because what is $150 when someone is, I've given you an example, someone puts in $10 million. Will that person or you move the market?
It's not about the market, it's about moving my life.
Yes.
I want to move my life in a small way. Because if, let's say, I'm that lucky person who makes $1,500 a month by gaming the market, if there's anything like that, in 1 year, I'm a millionaire by Kenyan standard, right?
Yeah.
Again, utanirudisha kwa probability.
For sure. For sure, I'll put you back on probability because it's a known, like I was telling you earlier, it's a game and it has rules. And these rules have been there since the 1700s.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually the stock market itself was, ilianza chini ya mti, a button tree. And it was a button woods agreement and people said, you know what, we're going to be buying and selling shares.
Shares of what?
At that time, but that time it was early because this is the industrial revolution. So they were talking about steel companies, coal companies, electric companies, because at your time there was steam oil going in a come up.
Yeah.
So if you compare what those that institution is to what it is now, huge difference. Now there are systems, there are algorithms. So you and I actually right now, if we are going to say we're going to trade, we're going to do that versus computers. And these are supercomputers. Things that do not sleep, things that don't eat, they don't take a break. And whenever you put in like a small $100 in there, $150 there, thinking that you're going to make 50% profit, that's already been noted. And they already know. Because it's data. You know, data is coming in, X person has put in $100. Okay, cool, no problem. And then kidogo unastukia you're down to, first and foremost, that even $100, the broker will take their commission. So you'll start off at probably like 97 because they have to pay themselves first. Yeah. And then now with that 97, wejua wenye kutaenda.
So it's the brokers who make money because if you take $3 from 10,000 people in a day, you've made money, they've lost.
Absolutely. You can't start your position at 1. You'll start it minus K2 because they have to take theirs first.
Why do you put your money in the stock market if you know this?
I do that because I play the long game. I play the long-term game. If you play the long game, you're not going to lose.
What does that mean?
If I take you back to the history of the S&P 500, which is a Standard & Poor 500 blue chip companies in the United States.
What is that?
So it's a basket.
Someone who does not understand.
Okay, yeah. So I'll give it a bit of a history. So I think in 1896, there's a gentleman called is it Charles Dow, or I think it was Charles Dow.
The Dow. See Dow Jones.
This is Dow Jones now. So he invented the Dow Jones, and this was the 30 blue chip companies. Then there's another guy called Henry Poor, and he was like, you know what, I can also do something similar. He owned a publishing company. And after that, I think in 1941, they merged with Standard Statistics, and they became Standard & Poor, and that's the S&P. What is that? It's a basket of 500 blue chip companies in the United States that quote unquote represents the market. If you look at the weight of the market right now, the S&P 500 takes 80%. So basically, you can call it the market. Basically the 80-20 principle.
Yes.
Yeah. So 80% is owned by, now it's 504 companies on the S&P 500.
Yes.
They're the ones who push the market. So if you look at the history of that, from inception to date, it has returned on average 10%. And this is positive.
Wait, on average, since 1941, when it was created, and this was after the stock market crash of 1929. So from 1941 to date, on average, they've returned an average of 10%.
Actually, you can go back even further, because now we're talking about the whole United States stock market. From inception to date, 10%.
Oh. So, are you saying that if you invested, I know inflation does a very big plays a very big role on this. If you invested $100 in 1941, on average, however you do the mathematics, the return on investment will be 10%, or the different people who invest at different times, on average calculated, it's 10%.
Even if you started in 41, you'll average out at 10%. If you started in a bit earlier, still would have been around 10%, because of course, market price
has considered.
Yes. Yeah.
We're going to stop at 10%.
Yes. Regression to the mean, and the mean is 10. So there are days where probably years or a decade, it will be probably higher than 10. But there'll also be the downturns. It will be lower than probably minus something, minus 10, 15, minus 20. But on the long term, it will be 10% averaged out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are explaining to us the long game and the S&P 500. Yes.
Yes. So today, if you took $100, okay, not today. If in say 41, you put $100, to date, average would be 10%
every year.
Yes.
Return.
Yes.
So the only benefit you will reap from is compounding.
100%. Yes.
So the magic is in compounding, not the annual interest.
Absolutely not.
So that's what you mean by the long game.
Yes. And that is how wealth is made and created.
So the long game, how many years are we talking about on average now?
If you can put in 30 years.
30
years minimum, you're good.
So let's talk right now. Are you talking lump sum? Like you have a lump sum, you hedge it on, I don't know, that's what hedging is different. You place it, you stake it in a company or in the S&P 500. Let's say $1 million Kenya shilling, right? Let's say $10,000. That's to standardize. So if you peg it on 30 years, you can count your finger in 30 years. Now, plus the benefit of compounding with an average of 10%.
100%. Yes.
But if you don't do that, you lose money, 99% guaranteed.
Absolutely. If you're going to use that 10,000 to play around with it, buy Tesla, sell, buy Walmart, sell, buy Costco, buy whatever company that's out there that you have had is going to do well, you're not going to make money. But if you just put money into an index fund, it doesn't even matter if it's a full S&P 500, it could be any other index fund or an ETF, which is an exchange traded fund. and you just sit, it'll work for you. Your money will work for you.
So you suffer for 30 years with a dream that in 30 years, this is just like some sort of retirement. Like, what would be your advice in terms of like putting together that? Do you build over time? Like, do you build the fund over time, over a period of 30 years, or you take one lump sum and that becomes your retirement vehicle?
Yeah, it could be either. Personally, I would go the other way, which is called dollar cost averaging, where you put in money on a set period of time. It could be quarterly, it could be monthly, it could be weekly. Just put some money in. And over time, that will continue to grow. If you have a lump sum and that's your strategy, no problem. Put your lump sum in there, sit, and just count that as money you will enjoy when you're in your later years. Yeah.
So the challenge for people is the idea of the future is not guaranteed. So most people don't think like that, right?
Yeah.
So where we in terms of putting your money in the index funds. Index fund.
Index funds. Yeah.
There's a difference between a company that's doing well and the basket of companies.
For sure.
So if you want to invest in stock, you don't invest in one company.
You can invest in one company.
That's not a good idea.
It's not a good idea because something might happen. A shocking event. Like, say, for example, I'll give you a close example.
Starlink.
Yeah, Starlink. So let's say, for example, you want to buy a share in one of Elon Musk company. And say, for example, now, as you see, X is banned in Brazil. Twitter, is also publicly traded. That could have an effect. So those small things that affect a particular stock and a company that owns or is associated with that stock will affect you, as opposed to having a broad, I'm going to use a very outrageous term, a broad-based approach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And just have a basket so that if something happens to Twitter, which is in your basket and has like a small weighting, there's no problem. The rest of the companies are probably doing better or doing well. And because that's a lagging or it's a sluggard stock, it will balance out and you will still enjoy the benefits of the rest as opposed to just being exposed to one. So it's in hindsight, it actually is hedging. That's hedging.
But then when you stick money in the long game, right? This is very different from liquidity.
Yes.
So how do you beat the temptation of you are a millionaire online, but you don't have money, like you're not liquid because you're playing the long game? To me, that is.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, there's that temptation, and life happens and stuff like that. The good thing is, if your back is against the wall and umefika mwisho, unaweza uza stock yako. Like, for sure, like I mentioned, 10% compounded over time, you'll have made some money. You can take your profits and leave your principal, for example.
Okay.
Or if you are a savvy investor and you just invest in dividend-paying companies or an index fund that owns dividend-paying companies, you're extracting dividends every quarter. You can leave the principal and just eat the dividends.
But that means you're also losing in some way.
Absolutely. Yeah, because the dividends, if you would have reinvested or would allow that to be reinvested, your the amount of money that you're compounding over time grows.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where does your story start with this concept of investing in stocks?
Yeah, so that concept started a while back. I think I was in uni when a friend of mine introduced me to this whole concept of trading. And I wiped out so quickly. I think I lost $1,500, $2,000. But as I mentioned,
uni?
Yes, just playing around with this money. And this is savings and, money, the pocket money, unakama, save, yote kinda just wiped out because I didn't know what I was doing. And once again, like I mentioned, the market or the whole system is rigged against people like me because you don't have information and we don't have the tools to beat smart money. We don't have the information to beat Wall Street.
So Pesa kidogo, dumb money, good money. Where does smart money start?
I'll give you a story. So, say for example, today you have done probably CFA, or you've graduated from an Ivy League school and you want to go into investment banking, and you get posted on the wall, and you look for a job, you get posted probably to like Goldman Sachs, those huge banks. Starting point for a junior trader, money ya kucheza nayo to learn is $10 million. Probably now it's higher.
$10 million?
Yes.
As in the money that you're given?
Yes. You're told to go and learn with that.
Go and learn?
Yes. Go and learn with $10 million. If that organization is giving you $10 million as a junior, someone who's wet behind the ears, you have no idea. You're green. What about someone who's seasoned? How are they portfolio?
The $10 million that you said that if you invest, that you will shake the market, they give to, let's call them interns.
Yes.
To go and test themselves.
Absolutely. And that $10 million is the market cap of the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Okay. Yeah. So basically, unaambiwa shika NSE and acheza nayo. Yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of, so that's where smart money starts from.
Yes.
So hii skodi yote huku chini, in Kenya, let's say, if you're not a billionaire, dumb money, that is dumb money.
For sure. And that's a billionaire with that money to play around. You don't mind losing it.
Okay.
Yeah, because that is one-to-one. You're not borrowing anyone any money. If you're buying a stock, say for example, Microsoft,
yes,
you want to put $10 million in Microsoft, you go ahead and put $10 million in Microsoft. You're not borrowing anyone any coin.
And the stocks are available that if I have a billion Kenya shillings right now, and I just give an offer to buy Microsoft stock, I'll find it.
For sure. People will line up to help you buy that stock. And even if you want the stock certificates, they will get that for you.
Legit.
Yes.
So you play around with, that I'm trying to put a fraction or a percentage of what you're playing with, but as what people play with as smart money. After losing that, which is a fortune by Kenyan standards,
yes.
Like why do you still go back to that?
Because you see now, I was thinking like with a microscopic kind of view.
Yes, like, okay, to put your example, I was taking this, hoping to get this, and this is what happened.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm using leverage to purchase stock. I'm using leverage to purchase currencies, etc. Yes. And I want to stake. See, I have like 1,500. I only want to stake 100, but I want a bigger position. I want to make some money, and money is made on those big money moves. So if I want like $100, $300, I'll have to stake a bit more. So I'll borrow, and that's what the brokerage does.
So you borrow from the brokerage?
Yes, it quote unquote lends you money so that you can make bigger moves.
So let me get this correct. Saingine tunashika vitu pole pole. I have $1,500. Let's say 200K. I have 200K, 200,000 Kenyan shillings, right?
Yeah.
What is leveraging?
Leveraging is a concept whereby you borrow someone else's money to buy something, an asset, with the hope that you'll be able to make money off of it.
Sour. Yeah. So I have 200,000. On the platform where I'm staking, I borrow money on my 200,000.
Yes. So before, actually, when you set it up, you'll say which leverage amount you want. Is it 10 to 1? Is it 20 to 1? Is it 100 to 1?
So for 100 to 1 means my money times 100.
Yes. So you make a position. Say, for example, you want to make a position of $100. You only need only $1 from your money.
$100.
Yes.
So if, let's say, for example, I have 200,000, I borrow 100 to 1, means I can play with up to 20 million.
Exactly. Is it 20 million?
200,000.
200,000 times 100.
Yes.
Yeah. They are 20 million. Exactly.
20 million. So this 20 million, if I borrow 20 million to play with on my 200K, if I win, how much am I getting on the 20 million?
That is up to you in terms of where you want to take profit to be. Is it a small chink, or is it huge?
Or in the 20 million?
Yes. Because you want to take profit. And
so take profit is like 20 million. I can play with 20 million on 200,000. So if the 20 million, let's say for example, let's say the take profit is say 10%. Inamaanisha there's 2 million up, right?
Yes. Yeah.
2 million that is coming clean from trading.
Exactly.
20 million if I win. Okay? So in the 2 million, I'll not get the 2 million. It's not mine.
No, it's actually yours because you've borrowed to try and see if you can make. See, you've made.
Yeah.
That is now yours.
So if I lose the 20 million, that is not mine.
Now it comes into you, into your money.
It's my 200.
It'll eat your 200.
But someone else has lost over 19,800,000.
Someone has probably made 19 million.
The person who lent me the 20 million.
No, then they've not lost because they have their own. Like I said, it's a game and it's a system. So for them, they'll protect themselves. So they've lent you that. Probably they've given another person. It's like how a bank operates, if I could say that.
But they gave you 20 million.
Yeah, they give you 20 million, but they've not lost. It's like a casino. When you go into the casino, the house will always win. That is the house. If you go to the horse track and you're betting on a horse, the track will always win.
So the 200,000 that I put, in this case, what you put, the 1,500, who is going to be the eater? Like who does in a food chain? Who does the arrow point to? In the case here, you've staked 1,500, right? You have leverage, all right? Your money has been eaten. The system eats this money, or the person who lent you the money?
The system will eat that money, and that system probably is some on Wall Street.
In the US?
Yeah. Because like I said, they're the ones who have the capacity. Yeah.
So why do you go back to something that has eaten a fortune for you as a campus student?
For sure. So like I mentioned, after that was a very expensive lesson to, number one, try and learn what the system is set up like. And then number two, learn from my mistakes so that I can apply myself better in the future. And that's what led me here to know that Akina Buffett, Akina Bogle, Akina Ray Dalio, they're not dumb. Those people don't trade. They'll buy and hold. Recently, I think Buffett sold a stake in Apple, and that's something that he bought in 2005. 2005, I decided almost close to almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And now he's selling.
Yeah.
And it's one of his best bets. He's made a lot of money. So you can't tell me someone as smart as that is doing it the long game, is playing the long game and playing it the long way, as opposed to someone who's trading daily and quote unquote thinking that they're going to make money. It's impossible. And it possibly, I want to say maybe 9.5 times out of 10, if someone is telling you they're making money, they're lying.
9 out of 10. 90%.
Yeah.
If someone tells you they're making money from trading
consistently,
they're lying.
That's a lie.
Tuambie hivi, as a trader. So first of all, do we say that if you're involved in trading, like as a day trader, you're wasting time? One or another. Somewhere along the line, you will be hidden.
For sure.
There's nothing like, let's say, for example, I have 200K to play with. Okay? This 200K, I want to trade and I want to say, for example, I want this 200K to give me 300K every month. Right? So once I make my 300K, I set it aside. I don't even touch it. So this is my 200K that I play with. When they hit this, I will take from what I have won. That's not a strategy you can survive with.
I'll tell you all the best. I'll just tell you all the best. If you make it, just come and show me. I'll buy you a cup of coffee and I'll clap for you. And I'll tell you do it again.
Hey,
and try and do it again.
Because I think greed, let's talk about greed. I think greed is what bites people.
Yeah.
I make 300K on top of my 200K. I set it aside. As long as I don't lie to myself to take the 500 and invest in the next month, I just focus on the 200K. If it brings 100 next month, I still have my 200. There's nothing like that.
No. Like I mentioned, your competition, who is your competition? Your competition is in Wall Street. The competition is probably several racks of servers in the Netherlands. They make money on small ticks. The point 0.00 whatever sure of a transaction. Small minute money. That's your competition.
Yes.
And you're just here sitting in your house or in your coffee shop, looking at charts, feeling like you're really smart. No.
So investment in stocks, good idea, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
But at the trading, you can make money, no.
No. If I'm telling you right now, if you're that good, they'll give you a job right now at Goldman Sachs.
If you eat money consistently.
Yeah. They'll tell you stop playing that small. Come work with us. You make something serious for yourself.
They can actually see.
Yes. And the thing is, anyone who's making money consistently trading is the broker's worst enemy. They don't like people making money because they're not making money.
Really?
Yeah. If they know you're making money consistently, you're not a good customer. You're taking money away from them. You're supposed to be losing. That's how they make money.
So now you told me, thank you for the bad news. But now, if we look at the concept of I have money, so with my $1 million bob, Kenyan shillings, that's nothing. Investing in the stock market in the US, right?
It is something.
How?
Like I mentioned, you don't need to even do a stock picking. You don't need to go and say, hey, you know what? I have AirPods, I have an iPhone, I have a Mac. I love Apple. Let me buy Apple. That's you haven't used it.
You don't support where you put your money?
No, you have to do some research at least. You have to see if it actually makes sense. And that's fundamental analysis. That's a different story altogether. You can take a different approach. You can say, let me look at the performance of a particular index fund. Or let me just buy the whole entire United States market and just sit and let it work for me. That's an option. There's several options for you to make money and create generational wealth. Such that, say for example, even today, you're like, you know what, I've invested for 30 years. Let me also teach my kids. And the kids will teach their kids. And we say we're going to do this for 90 years. We're going to be putting money in. That is generational wealth. Because in a 90-year period, with 10% compounding annually, that's close to probably $1 billion. If you put some good money in.
I'll circle back kidogo. What, in your opinion, can you make generational wealth from the little that you get?
Yes. And it starts with you. You have to make that decision.
Can't you have a budget for trading so that you can invest? Of course, you said you'll be eaten somewhere. But if you trade, let's say, for example, on average, if you have a set target, you have a gambling budget. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
For a better one. Mm-hmm. You make money kidogo and then you win some, you lose some, but you have a trading strategy and a long-term strategy. A trading strategy for the excitement, long-term strategy for the long game. Is that possible?
Yeah, if that's what takes, makes you tick, for sure, go for it.
But it's still gambling.
It is still gambling. You're still ni mchezo wa tauni, patapotea.
Now, Forex looks like it's straightforward. I buy $1 today, tomorrow it goes, kama sahi people are actually betting. There is talk that the Kenyan shilling is being poked. At any time from now, it could shoot to 170, 200, right? Because even with the skirmishes, za maandamano, it actually looks like the shilling is even more stable, which looks artificial, right? You take like 10 million shillings to buy at 129, now unajua inaenda 200. Is that what you call market research?
Not really, because on what basis? How do you know? And when will it happen? It's probably a good thing in the long term if you have information. And if you look at historical data, the dollar has always appreciated versus the Kenyan shilling, and possibly even as soon as November, it'll appreciate even more, depending on which president, or rather which candidate wins the presidency in the States. Something could happen.
Whoever wins the president in the US has, they have a direct play into how the market behaves directly.
Absolutely. I'll tell you for a fact right now, people, I know I'm leaning to one side, but if Trump wins, there'll be a reaction to the stock market.
Good or bad?
Not quite sure, but a lot of people are saying it's probably good.
Because I've heard the thing that Trump is good for business.
Yes.
So if you're investing outside Kenya, those are factors that you need to check.
You need to check. It's super huge in terms of like the research plate. See kugusa kitu moja moja. There's the fundamentals that will always, that will be your Bible. How is the company performing? How's the revenue? Are they growing? Do they have any free cash? How's the balance sheet looking like? What is the leadership saying? What's the strategy of that company? You really invest time to learn what that company is doing so that you can actually go ahead and buy a stock of that company. And then there's other factors that will come in. United States president probably talks of a recession. Maybe it's happening in the States probably pretty soon. They'll cut interest rates. It'll be great for the stock market. So those things you have to be on top of.
Are you saying that investing in the stock market is not about kukarada na the waves that we see on computer, like the zigzags? It's nothing to do with that.
No.
You have to go back to university again to start reading how a company behaves. They fired the CEO, they hired. You have to know that.
You have to know all that information. And that's the fundamental analysis. The technical analysis, so on some bar charts looking at this, this is the 20-day moving average of the price. Probably might affect. It's good. You can use that as well. If it works for you, well and good. But you always have to fall back to the fundamentals. What's going on right now?
How do you get to learn that?
You have to invest time and probably some bit of money to learn.
How much time? How much money?
I can't tell you how much time, but it's a lifetime course. You have to learn this for your entire life. Probably teach it to your offspring. Because things change and they change really quickly. And the better your arsenal, the more you can be able to at least increase your chances of generating this wealth that we're talking about.
Paint for us a picture of someone who earns 100,000 shillings, and that's too high by Kenyan standards, right?
Yeah.
How can this person create generational wealth by investing in stocks?
Yeah, for sure. I think I wish I had my laptop here. I would have shown you.
We can have it.
Yeah.
Send your laptop. Yeah. Stomzy.
There's a nice calculator out there. It's from a company known as Nerd Wallet. We'll do this together.
Okay.
Thanks. And I'll show you. I'll show you the power of compounding over time. Okay, so I have it here.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so this is just a basic calculator. There are several up there. They call mobs. So let's say so this person is earning 100K.
Yeah.
And what will be a good amount? They say put probably 10% saving.
First of all, the government, when someone earns 100K, let's say it's net, right?
Yeah.
But let's put an actual scenario. 100K, that means yours is around 70.
Okay, 70.
Right?
Yeah.
So, hey, dear Lord, 70. That goes to government.
Yes.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
30% goes to government. You have 70. This person probably lives somewhere. They will rent a house that, let's say they are modest, 15K. This person cannot afford even to be in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That means, or we're back in 55K.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
55K, but your lifestyle, yake, say 30.
Mm-hmm.
Give him a disposable income, 25,000. 25K. Yes.
But you see now, the way that has been done, this person has not paid themselves first. Hiyo yote amepea watu wengine. Hii pesa hakuna mali amejilipa. So, venye amepata hiyo 75K, for example, they need to pay themselves first. And hapo sasa ndio inaitwa kujinyima.
When they get the 70K, after the government has paid itself. So, paying themselves means setting aside something.
Set aside for something to save and invest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's give it a rosy scenario, which is very ambitious. They say if they earn 100, government takes 30, give yourself 20. Pay yourself less than the government.
Okay.
You can't compete with the government.
Yeah.
Pay yourself 20.
20K. Okay. So 20K at this point in time will be, let's do 20K divided by 127, which is 150. Let's just say $150 a month.
Okay.
So they put in their initial 150. And this person is very diligent. They'll continue putting 150 every month.
Yes.
So in a year, that will be 150 times 12, which is 6,000.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. So anyway, so that's $6,000 annually.
150 times 12.
Am I right? Could be absolutely wrong.
No, it's around 1,800.
Yeah, 1,800.
Yeah.
Bad at maths. Kweli. Okay. But it's still a significant amount, $1,800. Let's work with that time horizon that we talked about, 30 years. And S&P, we've seen it's 10% annually average. Let's work with that.
Yes.
And let's say there's a no expense ratio. Whoever is this person is probably investing with, or if it's an index fund, it has a very low expense ratio. Let's say 0.05. Very cheap. And let's see. So after 30 years, this person will have a net value of $325,066.
Net value.
Net of fees.
This is technically, after 30 years consistently, this person will have, in Kenya shillings, we are talking over 50 million.
Exactly.
Over 50 million.
Over 50 million.
But then again, in 30 years, 50 million still doesn't get you an apartment.
Perhaps, but can you live off of it?
30 million?
Yeah.
In 50 years?
In 50 million for the rest of your life. Can you live off 50 million in your old age and you can't work?
It's very hard to tell because when you factor inflation, the value of money in 30 years looks like a zero-sum game.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So that's also something probably that person will need to think of. If they're looking for an investment, they also want to beat inflation. And because we're doing it in dollars, the average rate of inflation in the States is 3%. So let's say
the US 300,000 doesn't even get you that much of a decent house today.
Yeah, but you see now, we're not talking about taking this money to buy an asset. Just to survive.
Hata kama ni survive. Like, let's say for example, inamaanisha to live very frugally for 30 years, assuming this income is consistent, which in the world of DPA is also a challenge, right? Inamaanisha the concept of building slow by slow, this is still not a generational wealth. Because let's say you want to leave your family house, still. But
for sure. So if you want to beat inflation and actually create this generational wealth, you'll want to also alter your investment amount to factor in that inflation. So if it's 3% annually or 8% annually, utaongeza proportionate to that. You get so that you are in the green. Hakuna mali unafanya negative. Hapo tumefanya tu just a plain scenario where someone is putting this amount through and through. They're not factoring in inflation. They're not thinking about that. Probably they don't even know what inflation is. But now if you factor in and you say, you know what, I'm going to increase this proportionate to or commensurate to inflation, you'll be able to factor in different, or rather not even factor in, you'll be able to make more money. So let's just be generous with this thing and say this rate of return actually beats inflation, states, by maybe a percentage point.
okay.
Yeah, maybe like equal 14. Let's just say that to maybe beat inflation. So
almost $1 million.
Exactly.
But almost $1 million. But this is ambitious. An average of 14% in 30 years is extremely ambitious.
It is ambitious, but possible.
So this is how hard it is to be a dollar millionaire in 30 years for someone earning 100,000.
Yes.
And sasa unajua the sad thing is in Kenya, according to the stat, I don't even think 100,000 people earn 100,000 shillings.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Very, very full.
So do you see a pattern here that there is no gateway to generational wealth through saving or investing in the stock market?
I beg to differ.
How so?
Because at the end of the day, whatever it is that you're investing for something. So this is probably for retirement, or it could be for a house, or it could be whatever it is, or a very long holiday. It could be for whatever reason.
So let's do the mathematics backwards.
Yeah. Okay.
In 1991, if I'm not wrong, a friend of mine told me that their mom was a teacher and they used to earn 2,000 shillings. 1991.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
If we do that mathematics 30 years back, how much they would have now? Would that give us a picture of what it's like to invest for 30 years?
Yeah, for sure. But now we'll have to do a bit of maths to see 2091 is how much today, so that we can use 4,000. Yeah, so 4,091, considering time value of money and those calculations, how much is 4,091 worth today? Is it 70K? Is it 80K? Because things were, with 4,000, probably I think that time 91 mkate ilikuwa 5 bob.
Yeah. If you started investing then to retire now as a percentage of your income, we still arrive at the same figure on average.
Yes.
Yes. So assuming this person saved, their mom saved 500 shillings, right? Which is a very big percentage of 4,000.
Yeah.
That's a big percentage. That's, I think, 25%.
Yeah, that's huge. I'm not quite sure about the percentage.
No, that's 25%. It's less. So, if they saved 500 shillings in 1991 consistently to 2021, that's exactly 30 years. Sindio? Utapata on average, the amount of money they would have made cheap, insignificant.
If this person was only 500 strictly over the years, afanyi any...
Kwa sababu hiyo sababu inakuja na compounding.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tunaweza fanya hiyo tuone.
Yeah, for sure.
How much they would have now. 500 shillings, that's like $3-4.
Yeah, let's just say $3. Yeah.
$3.
Yeah, $3 in that's 36.
$36.
Yeah. 30 years, 14%. That's really enough. It's up to just
they would have some under 52 million.
Yeah, maybe 1.8 cash.
In cash.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you would save for 30 years.
Yeah.
And what do you do with 2 million now? When we save diligent.
Yeah.
What are you doing with 2 million today? To make the mathematics correct.
Yeah.
Now, this is a teacher, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a teacher who earns a living. Like, what's... Kitu ni kama, it's for a certain level. Like you priced out whatever you do.
For sure. I mean, of course, it looks very bleak in a dire situation. But like if you actually consider the fact that you're making savings proportional to the inflation rate, possibly you could be in a much better position. I don't have the numbers. 500. Yeah, for inflation across the board from 91 to 2021. But if we make a good assumption, this person probably angekuwa much higher than 2 million. Kama, this teacher is actually saving commensurate to the proportion of inflation. Yeah, it won't be 2 million, probably even more.
And even if you gave them 5 million in cash, okay, that would change a few things.
Yeah, could change.
5 million in cash, then this changes the concept of investment, right? Yeah. When we talk of like, let's say, and I think we've said this multiple times before, the thing of you borrow money where you're being charged an interest to go invest, then you earn and then pay back the money with interest, right? And let's say right now, for example, the banks are giving loans at 22% per year, right? So if the bank gives you money, they are going to make 22%. So the person who invests in the bank is doing better than someone who invests in the stock market.
Oh yeah,
on average, right? But the person who borrows from the bank will invest. Like if this is the most sure bet investment, like the stock market, S&P 500, over 100 years in existence, that gives an average of 10%. Then what do you take of other investments?
I mean, that actually goes to show that you just can't put your eggs in one basket and think that you're going to make it. This is just an instrument for you to supplement.
Or as one of the things you have to make you, like, you're being eaten from all corners, but just to give you the idea that you are financially free.
You have something. And that's what I'm saying, the game itself is not very friendly for players like us.
Who have small money.
Yes,
hata unajilamp kwa players like us.
For sure. For sure. Because sasa mimi pesa yangu kidogo si enough to make something of a move. Acha nipate example. Say if Buffett decides to trim position, amekuwa kitu hivyo, by the way. I've been watching him for the past couple of weeks. He's been trimming his position in Bank of America. Kitu ame-own from sijui when. Sasa ndio anatrim huge positions, $900 million, $800 million. Na si moja zinafuatana.
Yes.
So when you look at that, you're like, hey, okay, this guy knows something that I don't. Yeah. So
na wewe umeweka coins zako kidogo pale.
Nimeweka coins zangu hapo.
Na Buffett anatoa 900.
Yeye anatoa 900. Na hiyo iko enough to make news.
Yes.
Sasa mimi mwanzo nikiweka 150 bob yangu hapo hivyo. Sawa, ndio maybe naweza earn 2 bob dividend nini kidogo nisema at least mazina make kidogo. But at the end of the day, in big boys ndio wana controlling what happens. Mimi is just to follow.
Nasaje tumesha debunk hii. What do you think is a strategy for generational wealth? What do you think is a strategy to leave something for the generation that comes after you, in the sense that na tutoe debt, like usiachie watu madeni, leave your family something.
Yeah, this is something. Kama tuseme, for example, you're like, you know what, this is an instrument I'll use to create generational wealth for my kids and my kids' kids, and along the line, as long as they're putting money in, it will change, it'll grow, because kuna compounding effect. So when you take yourself out of the equation and say, you know what,
yes,
I'll use this as a tool for generational wealth, but I won't count myself in. I'll count my kids and my kids' kids all the way down. And with that strict principle of putting money in, kuna mmoja wao by the hata kama ataomoka.
Au kuna mmoja
si wewe, si lazima itakuwa mimi. If I'm lucky, well and good. That sasa hii itakuwa maybe 2 million itakuwa nipatia dividend ya 10k, at least inalipa bill, sawa. But along the way, maybe third generation, second generation, we don't know. Depending on when you wanna put pesa in, wao watakam kunjo.
For wenye watakam, kuna watu wanaagi, utawafundisha stock market, uambie, okay ni hapa. Basi what are the investments for you? In terms of, wanambuangu real estate, you invest for your children. They turns 10, 15 years. Sawa. So stock market, do you invest for the generation to come with great grandkids? What do you think, in your experience with money, is the investment for you today?
For sure. So for me, with my strategy, and I have my own investment philosophy, I'll try and find alpha returns, which is outsized returns. It's something better than 10%, and they're there. They're always there. For me, it's just now to look and to take my time, scrutinize, then make sure, nitaangalia financial statements, nitasoma news, get all the information that I need to make an informed decision. Yeah. Then again, I may not be 100% correct. Naweza umwa. but I have to try. So that is one place. There's no sure bet, for sure.
Wherever you place your eggs, as far as it's called money, you may be beaten.
100%. Na kama hujaumwa utaumwa.
If you do not be beaten now, it's coming.
It is coming. It is coming. You have to pay school fees. Lazima ulipe fees ndio ulearn.
Is this where the studying of market trends, understanding greed and you said greed and fear come in?
Yes.
Do you think it's possible to be in a position you can predict the market accurately?
It will take time, but there will be a time where it will be like second nature. It will be like breathing, because you have seen it before and you have learned about it before.
Okay.
And that's why I was mentioning this gentleman known as Ray Dalio. Amefanya for his entire life. So he knows this is a period of greed. People are buying like crazy. And then the thing about any kind of market, whether it be it stock, be it bonds, be it bill, whatever, any financial instrument out there, the price will take the stairs to go up. Pole pole. But when it's coming down, it's going to use the lift. For sure. That's how human emotions work. And that's what drives markets from time immemorial. Kutoka 1668 venye the Dutch they thought that the tulips and the bulbs were the best thing in the world at that point in time, and they drove that demand high, and then eventually it came and it crashed.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is just human nature. We are always wired to act in a certain way.
Are you saying that kwanza hiyo hesabu tumefanya is very scary? Below a certain amount of money, and it's actually worse than below 100K. Your chances are, if you don't do something about your financial situation, you're technically destined for poverty.
Unfortunately, that is the truth. You won't be able to take care of yourself when you retire. You need your kids, you need loans. It's unfortunate, but it's just that's just the fact.
So do you think, and this is a very radical thing to say, that this would make you understand the people who steal? Because look at it this way. Sometimes you follow the system, what legit, tumefanya uko na salary ya 100K. For you to make good money, you have to live frugally proper. In fact, technically, this money, you rounded off to the nearest slum. Okay?
Yeah.
You need to save something.
Yeah.
Sindio?
Yeah.
Alafu, you find the cases like of county employees, someone earns 20K, but they have 600 million in the bank. Right? 600 million in the bank. So this person has found a way to game the system. But then there's someone else who's diligent with 200K a month, but you can't save your way out of poverty. Investing your way out of poverty is also something else.
Yeah.
Right? Investing your way out of poverty. I'm struggling. I'm nowadays, I've consumed so much information that I'm struggling with the concept of return on investment. Right? On average, 10%. Real estate, 8%. Right? Our circle, Nation Circle, you pay on dividends, the number range of 11%, plays between 9 and 11%, but it can't go beyond that. Na wale watu wanakwambia tuseme kama microfinance who charge people on interest. First of all, say for example you borrow and they want to charge you 20% per month, means you never pay that.
For sure.
Unless there's something you're gonna sell, which means you're buying your way back, as in you're taking steps back in the wealth path by selling what you already have to cover what you have, as in what you chenye umeshapata already.
Yeah.
So unless you get into the business of lending money for people who don't know, now we charge 200% per year, no other formula for generational wealth in 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely not. You have to actually mess around and play with the system for you to actually say, you know what, in 10 years, I'm now set. I can retire, my kids are good, the rest of my family is okay, I can take holidays whenever I want. You have to find, unfortunately, some kind of way to try and beat the system. And yeah, it's just unfortunate.
People should have kids as retirees.
If they're able.
Think about it, because I'm still wrapping my head around someone earning 100K. But by the way, they were afford how for a decent house. There was something on for someone earning 100K, you cannot afford a bed sitter on Wayaki. There was a bed sitter going for 35K.
Mm-hmm.
How do you live on a bed? The government has taken 30K from their 100.
Sorry.
Take a bed sitter. Thank you. Take a bed sitter for 35K. You've not eaten. You've not moved. Who are you working for?
Nobody but the government. Because if they're taking 30%, then they're winning. And then probably, unfortunately, you're gonna some debts over there, some leases, and it's as you said, you have a bank loan, 22%. Hey, it's basically, it's just a mess, and you're just there. You're just surviving, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why people are getting mental health issues because of this stress. You're really boxed in.
What do you think is the way out? You can't borrow to trade.
Yeah.
You can't borrow to invest in the stock market. If you are to advise someone, sema kama boys, mwenye anataka, they want to put their money somewhere. First, you have to access that money.
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned about capital?
Number one, you have to look at what you can offer to try and generate something of value to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
If it's possible for you to learn a skill that very few people have, at least unajitoa kwa hiyo bracket ya 100,000, unaweza jipush a bit higher.
Yeah.
You have a skill that very few people have, you're on demand because supply and demand. And with that opportunity or with that gig that you have, now you're able to put a bit more away because you're going to take care of yourself, you're going to take care of, for example, a family.
Yeah.
You can afford to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend.
You can afford to hide.
Yes, you can afford, because that is a cost. Yeah, and and kuna cost benefit analysis of hizi vitu zote.
So ukiona msee ako na demo, ni msee ako na do.
Hauna msee ako na kakitu. For sure. Yeah, so with that thinking of creating value, because say it's a value-based economy. If you have something of value, I can sell to you at a premium. And at that premium, I can be able to get myself out of a very tight situation.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't have to steal. I don't have to go and beat the system in some very crude way, something that will mess with my integrity. People are cussing me out there. I can just come up with something that, helps somebody.
Why steal if you can skill?
Exactly. Yeah. Why steal if you can skill? You skill up, and you don't have to sell it here in Kenya. Sell it outside. Yeah. There are more people outside of Kenya than there are in Kenya.
But so if you found a strategy, and before we close now to eleza hiyo story ya shell company, how they work, before, as in, would this be a good strategy? We have done the mathematics with a fixed mindset. Like someone earns 100K, right? If someone has disposable income, 100K, and you want to put it in, you want to invest outside Kenya, right?
Mm-hmm.
For 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Is this a good ticket?
It is a good ticket.
Assuming, wachana na pattern, I'll save 25K. Like if, let's say, for example, utapata windfall, you get 500K, utapata windfall, upate 30K, utapata windfall, upate $1 million. Can you know stashing? Like stashing your money in, how does that work? Let's say, for example, what I'm looking at, you can't make, unless you have agreed on this, but you can't make money without a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you have a target. Like let's say, nataka ku make 20 million, right? In the next 5 years, okay? And I want to stake it in the stock market for 30 years. So inamaanisha, you do your mathematics with 35 years. Right?
Yeah.
Like, say in 5 years, nataka kumake 20 ama 50M by scaling hapa na pale. Alafu after that, I stake it for 35 years.
Yeah.
Beyond that, that's for safety. That's survival. Then you go back to the formulas you need to survive.
Yeah, for sure. And I assure you one thing, King. Kama mtu ame do something, ame scale, ame make 200K, atakuwa ame learn something. Yeah. They can do it again. They can replicate it again. So whatever it is that they're putting in a stock market or an index fund or an ETF, whatever, even a money market fund, doesn't matter. They can be able to go ahead and do that again. Okay. And just, as you said, just stash this money away. With the thinking of 30 years from now, mi sitakuwa nataka kujua kitu yenye nafanya sahi. Okay. Nataka kuchill. And with that, let my money, every coin, every dollar, every shilling, whatever, that's my slave. Let it go and work for me. So that when the time comes, I'll be eating their children. I get. Okay, it may sound very weird, but yeah, and unakula watoto hiyo pesa hiyo yenye umeweka job.
Yeah, in 30 years, that's interesting. So now, ukiangalia your choice of investment, why stocks? Why not real estate? Why not anything else?
So I think something probably, if I wasn't clear, and I apologize if I wasn't, I have a diversified portfolio. So niko na real estate kidogo, niko na stocks hapa hivi, nimeka pesa kidogo, money market, nini. Lazima balance. This is diversifying and spreading out risk. If something happened today, to say, for example, unfortunately, hii war ya Russia na Ukraine is spill over, usikie states imekuwa involved, now it's an active war. Definitely, that's a problem. Yes. So with that, kama kuko hivyo, kutakuwa na a bit of rapture huko hivyo kwa stock market na vitu zinazoma outside.
Yeah.
So for me, I'll have to have a safety net. Niko na bado do mahali fulani kwa real estate, kuna do kwa money market. Sija take 100% loss.
So, so in this case, I would be interested to know what you take on financial freedom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, financial freedom is just one of those very interesting topics for many people. But for me, financial freedom is just liberty. Liberty to say, you know what, my things are working for me. Today, I can stop actively working. Yes, I don't need to do anything. As I can watch Netflix from dusk till dawn, or the other way around, and I don't need to. I'm just being paid by what. Yes, that is to me financial freedom.
I don't know kama I can tie this to you, but kwa event that we spoke at Fentono, sijui kama ni wewe ulisema something ya, and you've said it here again. You couldn't even afford to have a girlfriend, right? So does this mean that in your financial consciousness, relationship na family is a very big financial move?
For sure.
How so?
And yeah, if you look at it, this is tough, and I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash from everyone.
By the way, we have open mind. Our audience is very open.
Okay. If you look at anything, let's say, for example, having a baby. Number one, that kid will need formula.
Yeah.
They'll need diapers. Basically, they are dependent. Hakuna kitu wanaweza do kusaidia kumake shilingi.
Yeah.
Unless kama umewa create Instagram page and they have 1 million followers after birth. You're able to get something out of that. Uta need to spend money to take care of that person. If you're a guy, you need to take care of your wife. Kutakuwa na some expenses associated with her.
Yeah.
If you're a lady, kutakuwa na probably some expenses associated with your man.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So kuna any basically economy ina happen hapo tu just because uko na mtu. Kuna money exchanging hands.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's up to you based on your pocket and your financial capability. To what extent are you able to provide for these people? Is it their minimum, which is food, shelter, clothing? Ama you can add a bit of more luxuries. How much is it going to cost you? Yeah. And then now, if you are smart, you'll be like, hey, my wife spends this much, or she earns this much. What can I do? What can we do to have something that takes care of her salary, so that if in case something happens today, aseme, mimi nimechoka, bado kuna kitu hiyo do bado inakaa. Or the same thing for myself. If it's me, what can I replace my income with, so that I can be able to absorb any shock that happens in life, or if I just don't feel like it anymore. Yeah. So when you think about it like that, and you have this conversation with someone, you can be able to come up with a decision and a figure. You say, you know what, if you're having 100K from wherever, tuko sawa, watu watadishi, si tutaishi vizuri, tunaweza panda Uber, tunaweza buy gari, tunaweza feel gari, whatever, we'll able to live.
I heard someone say, someone I respect actually, alisema at there are levels of finances you will not unlock unless you're married. Wachana na hii ati let me make money before I get away.
Yeah.
Wanasema the argument was ati on principle there's certain levels of money hauwezi reach kama wewe if you're not married.
Wao ndio kuna hiyo data. Unfortunately mi bado niko na game, hatujaoana, so sisi kama na hiyo fact nikwambia ni kweli. For them probably that's how it works, and for others probably not. So it's always comes back to the individual and their partner and what they've done.
Observation wise, do you think babies keep people poor to some extent? Like this, in this sense, uko na mtu
bado.
So now, do you think there would be a dent in your financial situation if you decided to introduce a baby?
Right now, for me,
yeah,
for sure kutakuwa na dent. But I have
dent ya sherehe ya Netflix mpaka asubuhi.
Kutoka na dent kila kitu. Time, finances, effort, nini.
We think babies keep people poor. I think there are people who could be doing better financially, but because you went the route of reproduction. I think you chose the wrong route in reproduction.
Yeah.
Do you think that's an argument that holds?
For sure.
Because in this capitalistic world in Yetuko, I'm looking at family from a very interesting perspective. Like it's not what it was. Ati unaweza pata day mwanze tu kuzaa watoto alafu wakule mapera. We can both agree that most of what we know as the wealth creation strategies are a lie. Right? And if not a lie, to use a more polite word and more realistic, illusion. Sindio? Based on the mathematics, yeah, at your steady income, especially in Kenyan context, hakuna do.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what you imagine. If you think it's important for people to have families, but if you have families juu unapendana in this world today, you're setting yourself up for poverty at some extent, because you're betting on getting a job that can be able to sustain that family, in which if it is for work, you're setting yourself up for a life of struggle.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kama if you want generational wealth, if you want to you have to play the long game. Strategy a long term.
Yes. Yeah.
Because there are investments in it. You can put your money, you can put your savings. Now, if you don't do your math correctly, you could be wiped out. Umeenda kurudi square one.
For sure.
Yeah. Before tufunge, tuambie something about shell companies. How do they work?
Yeah, so shell companies is something that ultra wealthy, high net worth individuals, they will use to, for example, move money or any asset. So say, for example, Kingsai, you're a billionaire, or let's even call you a centimillionaire, dollar terms. Ukuna a significant amount.
Yes.
But you want to go ahead and move this money without incurring any taxation. Say ukimove do yote kwa bank, kuna excise duty, kuna all manner of things, kuna charges. Yeah. So utakula dent. So a shell company can be this instrument that you use to move money or transact in tax-free havens. So say, for example, now you have you've liquidated something that's outside of the country. The shell company will be the one that will liquidate it on your behalf because you belong to it, or you own it in a tax-free haven. So it can be in St. Lucia, it can be in St. Kitts, it can be in Switzerland, Panama, name it. And 100% of that money is yours. So
100%.
yes, yeah. So that shell company, you can be able to transact and maybe do a withdrawal. If you want to do a $50 million withdrawal, you can initiate that with a bank over there, because the bank will be connected to the shell company. And that $50 million, you can now spend it as you like.
Okay, let's say in this case, you have opened a company in, say, Seychelles.
Yeah.
Seychelles.
Yeah, Seychelles.
Yes, Seychelles. So you open your company there because you studied their tax rules instead of opening a company in Kenya.
Yes.
So once you open there, it owns assets in Kenya. It owns assets. Shell companies don't deal in assets as we know them.
No, they can actually deal in assets, and they can purchase assets as well.
So you build you register a company in Seychelles, you buy a piece of land in Kenya, you build it with the company from there. So technically, this piece of real estate is owned by that company.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give you a better example. Venye sasa the ultra wealthy akina Bezos will do, so that they can avoid paying taxes.
Yeah.
So they'll do business with like a major company, like say for example Amazon. Amazon imedu poa nini, ama maybe tuseme tu uko na kampuni yako tu mahali imedu business US, but because it's incorporated in Seychelles, hiyo money lazima iko repatriated because those are your profits. Yeah, so profits zako zinakuwa repatriated huko. Now you do as you please, and with that you will use a shell company because you don't want to kutumia yourself as an individual, like your name, like that your company make do inakulipa. Yeah, inalipa your shell company, inalipa your company huko hivyo, kwa sababu ukiko incorporated huko and tax laws ni za huko.
Okay.
So the proceeds of your gains zinafaa kwenda huko.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So that's how you run away from. Actually, not run away. You avoid paying taxes.
You avoid.
Yeah.
Okay. So kwa ile sababu tulikuwa tunafanya ya someone earning 70k has to pay 30,000 as tax. Someone earning billion, right, will do everything to avoid paying taxes. Inamaanisha we have a problem with the tax system, and it's designed to keep people poor.
For sure. And something that actually tulikuwa tumemention too actually offsets it starts with the education system, because the education system churns out employees, not employers. So with that thinking, even your government inaweza kujipush, because employees ndio wana generate significant amount of revenue.
Labor is a factor of production.
Yes. So because they're taxing you at source immediately, hata before hata uone hiyo pesa yako, it's just on paper ishakatwa. They've already pocketed it. But me as a person who's created value, I know the system. I have people around me who advise me. They'll devise a system within the laws to avoid paying taxes. And I enjoy my wealth. And over time, it continues growing. And that's why they say the rich get richer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the gateway to making money is understanding the system.
You have to understand the system. You have to understand the rules. You can't be a football referee going to coach a cricket game.
Yes.
You don't know the rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa. Before, as we close, recommendations on the people who are interested, mtu akona kitu kake anataka kuweka kwa S&P 500.
Yeah. So there are a couple of companies out there, good reputable companies. Personally, I work with a company known as eToro. They're based out of the UK. And I think they have another branch somewhere in Europe, I forget. But that's where you can be able to actually purchase and hold stock. So I'll give an example. I own Royal Caribbean. Royal Caribbean is a company that does cruises. They own these massive ships. Zinapelekanga watu cruises. So them, because you actually, when you buy the stock, they issue a stock certificate. Right now, if I wanted that stock certificate, I'll just write an email. I'll tell my people at eToro, I want that certificate. They'll mail it to me. So it's something that's legitimate. When it comes to liquidating a position or trimming a position, you can be able to do that on the platform and, transfer that straight to your bank account here in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah, without, any problems whatsoever. I think the turnaround time is like 2 days.
And with what you've learned from trading, it's when someone employs you, what do you think of the so-called 9 to 5, like formal employment?
It's good as a buffer. It's good to have as a plus one, but you need something that you're giving back in terms of value.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, like this is me giving back some value. I have my own product on the side. Because I have this vast information and knowledge on the stock market, I have my own service. If anyone is interested, they can go ahead and check it out. I have a small YouTube show as well. Just started. I just want to share with people.
Okay.
And, if it actually is of value to them.
Yes.
100%. You win, I also win.
Sawa.
Yeah.
Link iko hapa kwa description on how you can reach Stormzy. I believe your information has been helpful. Asante sana for sharing your arguments.
Sure. Thanks so much.
Asante sana for sharing your wisdom.
No, thank you so much, King. I really appreciate it. Thank you for what you are doing here. It's one of the reasons why I even decided to just, pop in.
Good vibes.
Yeah.
Good vibes. We do appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
So,